this patio isn't big enough for the 6 of us. And it's about time we settle the score. You varmints all get what you deserve. Wait, one is still alive. You win this time, you old coot.
Welcome to the Outdoor Griddle Showdown. Today we're going to be reviewing a total of 5 outdoor griddles, starting with the Camp Chef, a Blackstone, Coyote Outdoor Living, Pit Boss, and Royal Gourmet. Let's jump into it. We're going to start off with some general stats, and then we're going to move into some tests to see how each one performs, starting with the Pit Boss. Here we have the Pit Boss 4-burner griddle. Is it going to show us who's boss? Well, we'll see. The price tag, $449 on this unit. 4-wheel caster, cast iron top, propane unit with 753 square inches of cooking space. This unit is powder coated. It is 35 inches to the top of the cooking surface with 62,000 total BTUs throughout the 4 burners. And for grease management, it's really easy because the trap is right here in the front, makes it easy to access. The Pit Boss doesn't actually come with any side shelves, but it does have a shelf underneath the unit. It is a cast iron, so it's really easy to season, and it comes with a 2-year warranty. Right off the top, what I really don't like about this unit is it doesn't give you any side shelves, which is really important when you need to put your trays and your cooking tools, your seasonings, all of those things. Come on, Pit, you gotta give us a couple shelves here. What I do like about this unit, what I will say, is the grease management. Instead of it being located in the back, a little difficult to access, see how much is in the grease tray, it's located here in the front. Naturally, you scrape to the front, makes it easy to manage the grease. Taking this thing out of the box couldn't be any more easy. The legs fold right out from underneath the unit. The cast iron top is placed right onto the top. The knobs here just get pushed right into place. So as far as the installation is or unboxing is concerned, I definitely say it was one of the easiest. And that wraps it up for the Pit Boss. So let's talk about Camp Chef. Follow me over here. This Camp Chef looks like a lean, mean griddling machine, but looks aren't always everything. So let's get into the details. At the time of this video, this unit is $549.99. It doesn't come with any casters, so it is a stationary unit. It's got cold rolled steel for the cooking surface, and it's a propane unit. 604 square inches of cooking surface. The unit itself is made out of an unspecified grade of stainless steel. It's 20.5 inches to the top of the cooking surface, a little bit shorter than most griddles, and we have 48,000 BTUs across the 4 burners. Let's talk about the burners themselves. So taking this top off, we can expose the burners underneath, and you can see we've got 4 linear burners, which is pretty common in griddles. For grease management, we've got a small trough here along the front of the cooking surface and a little hole here on the left-hand side. There's the grease trap or the grease tray that kind of hooks onto the side shelf here to the left, and it comes with disposable aluminum. As far as the shelves are concerned on this unit, it's considered portable, so once you take the top off, this thing kind of just folds up. But the lid doubles as side shelves, but it doesn't come with an underneath shelf, so your tank will sit directly on the ground. And this thing comes with a 1-year warranty. My personal thoughts on this thing is, it is truly portable. So if you want to fold this thing up, throw it in the back of your truck, take it camping, go to a friend's house, go to a cookout, man, super easy and convenient, pretty lightweight other than the top itself. One thing I really do like is if you're outside grilling, you're probably chilling, so it does come with a bottle opener. Come on, man, it doesn't get any cooler than that. Other than that, I think for a portable griddle, this thing checks all the boxes. That pretty much covers my thoughts here on the Camp Chef for now. So let's talk about Royal Gourmet. Follow me over here. Royal Gourmet. They imply that this thing is made for royalty, but is that really the case? Let's take a look under the hood. The Royal Gourmet is $279 at the time of the making of this video with 4 caster wheels. It is a propane unit, 784 square inches of cooking surface with a ceramic coated steel cooking surface. We have a 35-inch height on this unit with 52,000 BTUs across the 4 burners. Let's take a look at what kind of burners we have underneath. Same thing here, we have 4 linear burners, which is pretty standard on most griddles. As far as grease management is concerned, we do have the grease trap located in the back of the unit, centered on the cooking surface. The side shelves fold in, fold out, pretty standard on most griddles. We do have a shelf underneath the unit as well, and it does come with a 1-year warranty. I'm not quite sure about how seasoning works on ceramic coated steel, but we're gonna find out today. As far as assembly and unboxing is concerned, I think $279 should say it all. I mean, it's probably at the lower end of the price point when it comes to griddles, and it came in about as many parts as you can assemble. It came in those many parts. Instructions weren't very clear. I would say if you're gonna assemble this thing, you might wanna do it on your own because your wife is gonna hate you if you do it together. And that's all she wrote for the Royal Gourmet, so let's move it over to the Blackstone. Follow me over here. Blackstone, the big man on campus. They're the brand that put backyard griddles on the map, but are they still king of the hill? Let's find out. At the time of this video, the price tag on this thing is $399.99. It comes on 4 caster wheels. It is a propane unit and carbon rolled steel for the cooking surface. The frame is made out of a powder coated steel. It is 36.5 inches to the top of the cooking surface, and it has 60,000 BTUs across the 4 burners. But let's take a little bit of a closer look at the burners themselves. Underneath the hood, we do have 4 linear standard burners, pretty common in all the griddles that we have today. As far as grease management is concerned, we have the grease trap located in the back center of the cooking surface. As far as the shelves are concerned, they fold down, they fold up, just kind of like your standard side shelves. There is a shelf underneath the unit as well, which I really like. It's pretty standard to season this as it is cold rolled steel, and it does come with a 1-year warranty. As far as my thoughts are concerned on this unit, it was not the easiest to put together. It definitely wasn't as hard as the Royal Gourmet, but it still came in a few pieces. I think the Camp Chef and the Pit Boss are doing it right, where you take it right out of the box and it folds open, but it does come with some side shelves, and it does have 2 casters for moving the unit around. The other 2 wheels are kind of just locked into place, but it's still mobile. All in all, I can see why people are gravitating towards this unit. It's pretty functional. Now that we've looked at all the features that the Blackstone has to offer, let's take a look at the last griddle in this fiery showdown. Last but not least, the wily Coyote griddle. I'm just kidding, it's just the Coyote griddle. Nothing wily about it. So let's see what this little flat top has to offer. At the time of this video, the price tag on this unit is $2,099. And I know that that might sound like a pretty steep price jump from all of the other units that we've talked about so far, but I did want to address something here. This unit can come on a cart, but it can actually be built into an outdoor kitchen. Whether you have an outdoor kitchen already that you're building it into, or it can be taken off the cart and integrated into an outdoor kitchen, which is really cool. And you can actually flip the fuel source. So if it comes propane and you want to build it into an outdoor kitchen, you can convert it to natural gas. If you have it as a natural gas unit, but you need to convert it to a propane unit and put it back on the cart, you can do that as well. So it's incredibly versatile. The cooking surface is made out of 304 stainless steel, and so is the body. And we have a total of 400 square inches of cooking surface. We're at 36.5 inches to the top of the cooking surface on this unit, 34,000 total BTUs for the 2 burners, and the burners are actually U-shaped. Let's take a look at those. We have 2 U-shaped burners, and that really helps with giving you even heat distribution across the cooking surface. As far as grease management is concerned on this unit, it is really easy. You can scrape everything forward into this trough and remove the whole tray, which makes for easy cleaning. The shelves on the side fold up, fold down. You can take them off, put them on as you want. And instead of a shelf in the front, it actually comes with drawers and a drawer for your propane tank. So no more bending down, having to put that tank underneath the griddle. As far as seasoning is concerned, you actually don't have to season 304, which is great. And it does come with a limited lifetime warranty. And that concludes our griddle tour. Let's put the pedal to the metal and put these things to the ultimate test. Let the showdown begin. Now that we've got all of the features out of the way in these griddles, I'd like to perform a quick test. In this quick test, we're going to be testing to see which griddle heats up the fastest and has the most uniform and even heat distribution across the cooking surface. I've got my temperature gun here, which is gonna give us a precise reading across the board. Griddles are notorious for having an uneven heated surface. In today's test, we're gonna find which one has the most even heating throughout. All right, what I have here in front of me is the Royal Gourmet, and it was actually the lowest price option in the griddle lineup that we have here today. So I'm curious to see how this actually performs head to head to some of these other units. 125 at the lowest, about 145 here in the middle, 150, 160 here on the far right hand side. So it's definitely, they were all lit at about the same time, cooler, hotter side. So on this side, I've got about 175 to 200, but as soon as I go right over the top of the burner, I'm at about 250 to 300, depending. I mean, it kind of jumps from 250 to 350. So there's about 100 degree difference, but I'd say we're right at about that 350 degree mark right now. So it's been about 4 minutes and 30 seconds. The second one on the lineup here is the Pit Boss, and we're gonna see if it really is the boss. Basically gonna perform the same test, see how quickly it heats up and how even the heat distribution is on this cooking surface. So we are just around the 2-minute mark, and we are just approaching that 300 degree mark. There's some spots that are under 300 degrees. There are a few spots that are just above 300 degrees, but man, did this thing get hot pretty quickly. Really impressed with how quickly this came up to temperature. The heat distribution on this far right-hand side, we're already pushing that 340, 350 degree range, but here on the far left, we're not even anywhere near it, closer to 230. So here we are just approaching the 4-minute mark, and I'm gonna call it at 3 minutes and 51 seconds that we've come up to temperature on this Pit Boss. All right, next up is the Camp Chef. Really intrigued to see how this one performs next to the Pit Boss and the Royal Gourmet. I believe this one kind of fell in between the middle from a price point perspective, but we'll see how it performs. So we are just approaching the 3-minute and 30-second mark, and I'm gonna go ahead and call it right there. I'm getting a temperature here on the left-hand side of 350, 375, but we do have some inconsistencies. I'm gonna say we're averaging about 280 to 300, but we did hit the 350 and at 2 minutes and 53 seconds. So far, I think this has been the fastest one. Second to last, we have the Blackstone here. I'm really curious to see how this one performs next to the Camp Chef, which came in just over 2 minutes and 50 seconds. Can it beat it? Let's get it lit and find out. We have just passed the 2-minute and 30-second mark, and we're at 260. So the Blackstone came in a little bit ahead of the Camp Chef, 2 minutes and 30 seconds, and I'm catching 350 degrees here on the cooking surface. There are some heat inconsistencies I'm catching a temperature as low as 200 on one side, up to 350, and then back down to like 275. So definitely not consistent all the way through, but it did come up to 350 degrees at 2 minutes and 30 seconds. Last, but certainly not least, we have the Coyote stainless steel griddle here. It's actually the only stainless steel griddle that we have in this lineup. So this cooking surface is competing against cast iron and the ceramic cooktops. Let's see how it performs and how quickly it gets up to temperature. So we are just at about 1 minute and 40 seconds, and we're averaging about 160 across the surface pretty consistently. I'd say that this surface so far has been the most consistent from one side to the other, but I am getting a spike reading here on the far left corner of about 200 degrees. So 2 minutes, 200 degrees, I think it's getting up there pretty quickly. Will it beat the Camp Chef or the Blackstone? We'll find out. And at the 4 minute and 40 second mark, we have a temperature reading of 350 to 375. So even though this might have been one of the slowest to get up to temperature, just at a quick glance and a quick reading across the cooking temperature, things are very consistent. So not a lot of highs and lows in between the burners. So that's very interesting to see. All right, now that we've got our speed test out of the way with the thermometer gun, let's actually perform a test that we can see. We've got some Texas toast that we're gonna be putting onto each of the griddles to see how that heat distribution transfers to actually cooking. I had to make sure the bread was the right kind of deliciousness as we cook it. We have just hit that 10-minute mark, so let's start flipping them over and see what that consistency looks like. It looks like down here closest to me was a pretty cool spot here. None of the toast here looks very brown. To me, these are like perfect toast. So you can see here, the second row went from cooler to warmer. On these edges, you can see that it's cool as well too, but it looks like this middle definitely is the hottest. This back edge is actually really hot. That should give you an idea of where those hot cold spots are on the griddle. You can see along this back edge, none of these really browned up, but if you touch them, they definitely feel toasted. But you can see here, the second row and third row closest to the center was definitely the hottest. And then as you move to the back edge, it started to cool off a little bit. I think on this left edge and along the back, definitely the coolest. You can see it's pretty light over here too. So I'd say at all the edges don't get as hot as the center does. Next up here is the Pit Boss. On this left-hand side, there's a U-shaped burner, as you saw in the review that we did earlier on some of the components here and the features of each of the griddles. So I'm interested to see how this side does on the Pit Boss. I'm gonna say I imagine this side is gonna get much hotter. Let's start flipping them over and see how consistent this is. Same kind of thing here. Along the edges, I'm finding that the toast is still not dark like you see here in the center. The center pieces are definitely toasted up. Interesting results here. Same kind of thing where along the edges, it's a little bit cooler than it is in the center. The center is definitely the hot spot on the griddle, but here on the right-hand side, they toasted up along the edge and then it cooled off again. Surprisingly, the U-burner didn't get as hot as quickly as I thought it would, and it's the largest burner in this whole griddle. So I expected there to be a little bit more consistency here than what I'm seeing, but the results say the center is getting hotter than anywhere else. Next up here on the Texas toast test is the Camp Chef. So let's get these burners lit and spread out some of the toast. I'm getting Texas toasted out here. Interesting first result is the edges here seem to be getting fairly hot compared to the other ones. I'm very surprised. This is actually very consistent. You can see here, half of these have been toasted almost perfectly. Then it goes to the center, which on all of them have performed to be the hottest. But what I noticed immediately is on the edge, These sides are getting just as hot as the center would on some of the other results that we've seen so far. Closest to me, you can see that the toast is halfway toasted, which is very consistent all the way through. So very surprised with these results. Next up is the Blackstone. Interesting results about the Blackstone. 5 minutes and 30 seconds, and I've probably seen some of the most crazy inconsistencies so far. Super hot here across the middle, but not all the way across the middle. Really just here, the second row got the hottest. You can see where it started to burn, but then it's very light in the next row, and you see the same thing on this side. So there's kind of just this strip here across the middle that seems to get the hottest. The edges, just like some of the others, except for the Camp Chef, where it's not even really toasted around the edges, except for here on this first row. So cool on all of the edges, the center nice and hot, but even more inconsistencies here. Alrighty guys, we are just at the 5-minute mark now here for the Coyote stainless steel griddle. Let's start flipping some of these over and see what the heat distribution really looks like on this griddle. And right at the 5-minute mark, we flipped over the toast, the Texas toast here, for some very interesting results that I personally was not expecting. And remember, this griddle has the U-shaped burners, so it's not like the linear burners that you find in all the other griddles that we're testing today, other than the Pit Boss. That one does have one U-shaped burner, and the results are very consistent. And I noticed that while I was using the heat gun, that there wasn't a big temperature swing from one side to the other. It stayed somewhat consistent all the way through the surface, and the toast here shows us the same results. So overall, we're pretty consistent all the way up to the edges here from the left to the right side. The heat is just all the way through the griddle. Interestingly enough, this center isn't just the hottest part. It goes kind of directly over the burner. You can tell where it's the warmest, where in between the burners, it's kind of has a cool spot, and then back over to the right side where the other U-shaped burner is at. You can see it definitely got the hottest here on the far right-hand side, but overall consistency. All the way from front to back on the edges, even in the center, it's not like on the other griddles, the center was the hottest point. It definitely wasn't the case here with the Coyote. So very impressed with the consistency of this flat top. With our Texas toast test now completed, I have the overall results show that the Coyote and the Camp Chef had pretty good even heat distribution through the entire cooking surface from edge to edge, front to back, and pretty much a tie for the other three, the Blackstone, the Pit Boss, and the Royal Gourmet. Pretty much don't get hot around all of the edges, the center point being the warmest or the hottest point on the cooking surface, and pretty much the same results for those three. Now it's time for the ultimate test and putting them head to head. And I couldn't think of a better way to do that than cooking a cowboy breakfast. So these look like done over easy eggs. Looks like the eggs came out pretty easily. Can't complain about that. That looks like a good breakfast to me. Everything was cooked perfectly. Nothing was burned. Royal Gourmet, even though you don't light, and it was very difficult to put out of the box, my cooking experience has been pretty decent here. Every time you oil this, get it to a high temperature, you're really just continuing to season this thing, so you can't really overdo it. This one's definitely getting hotter a little bit faster than the Royal Gourmet. Even though there's a little bit of some darker brown here on these cakes, I think that looks like a good pancake to me. Eggs still look great for over easy, and the bacon is cooking just fine. Over easy eggs, cooked to perfection here. Man, I'm gonna say those cakes look good to me. That looks like some perfect crispy bacon to me. I'd say all in all, even though the assembly process was much different between the two, I'm still having the same cooking experience. With the Pit Boss out of the way, let's move on to the Coyote here. Get some oil on here. I'm cooking on an uneven surface here. I'm just trying to prevent these from rolling all the way to the back. I will say this got a little bit hotter, a little bit quicker, coming right up. I will say from my cooking experience, I feel like it's getting much hotter quicker, which is kind of odd. It's probably just the difference between cooking with stainless steel and cast iron. I want to say that my cooking experience here was much faster. Even though in the speed test, it might have taken longer for it to get up to temperature, cooking the bacon here went much faster. Cooking the eggs was almost instant, and these griddle cakes cooked in no time. A totally different cooking experience than any of these. Now for the Blackstone. Bacon and eggs and bacon. It's pretty straightforward across the board. Cooking experience has been relatively similar through all of these things, maybe some slight differences. I will say, on the Coyote, since it is a smaller unit and they are U-shaped burners, you're definitely getting some more even consistent heating from my cooking experience. It might not show that on the heat gun test, but from my cooking experience, it was pretty consistently hot throughout the cooking surface. Since the burners are so spread out on this 36-inch, you have some highs and lows in between each of them. You're getting more cooking space, but when you're cooking different items like this, that might not be a bad thing. I will say, super easy to cook here. That looks like a great breakfast to me, and just as good of a cooking experience I've had on this, I've had on all of them. Basically, on my limited time cooking on all of these, I will say the Camp Chef cooking surface has been the most non-stick with the least amount of seasoning or work put into it. So I'd say this one's pretty much been the most user-friendly so far. And there you have it, the conclusion to our outdoor griddle showdown. All in all, each of these units has their pros and has their cons, but they cook very similarly. Some might get hot faster, others might have less hot and cold spots through the cooking surface, but all in all, you're gonna have a very similar griddle experience from one unit to the next. I think if you're looking for something that's portable and compact, the Camp Chef is great for that. Easy to put together. If you're looking for something that has the largest cooking surface, Blackstone has that. If you're looking for something that's the cheapest or in the lowest price range, Royal Gourmet has that for you. And Pit Boss kind of falls in the middle of all of those. Easy to put together, very user-friendly. When it comes to the Coyote, what I highly recommend about this unit is it is designed to be put into an outdoor kitchen. It can be natural gas, it can be propane, and it can be swapped from one to the other. It can be put on a cart if you don't have an outdoor kitchen, but if you get an outdoor kitchen, it can be built into one. My personal recommendation is certainly here with the Coyote. I think that it looks great with the other stainless steel appliancery that you might already have or will be putting into an outdoor kitchen. Lifetime warranties, which is great as a consumer. I know that I'm investing in something that's meant to last, and if I have any issues with it, they're gonna stand behind their products. And now you know my personal preference for the best griddle in the West. And if you're interested in seeing what it might look like in a design in your own yard, take a look at our design tool, and we'll leave a link for it in the description box below. Be sure to give us a like on this video if you found any of this information helpful, and subscribe to our channel while you're at it. And we'll see you in the next outdoor kitchen experience.